A wasteland stretches across the canvas, dry and lifeless, with no horizon in sight. The sky is an eerie orange, as if the world itself has caught fire and the sun has vanished forever. All across the scene, skeletons pour in like an unstoppable tide. They are marching, stabbing, hanging, and drowning. They're not random, they're organized. It's not chaos, but conquest. This painting is titled The Triumph of Death, and it was painted around 1562 by Pieter Bruegel the Elder. It's a painting that doesn't simply depict death, but gives it structure, discipline, and even purpose. It's not a battlefield, not exactly. It's a massacre, and no one is spared. Bruegel's vision is merciless, a world where death doesn't creep up on us, but marches in broad daylight. Like in most of Bruegel's works, if you look closely, you'll see vignettes unfolding everywhere. A man clutches onto a cross as a skeleton swings a sword, and here, a woman is being dragged by her hair. People are crushed beneath the wheels of a cart, and they are herded into a coffin like livestock. No matter how you live, how much you pray, gamble, sing, or run, this painting emphasizes that there's only one ending. What strikes me the most about this painting is that it almost embodies the universal feeling of hopelessness. Pieter Bruegel the Elder was no ordinary painter, and I always found him to be somewhat of an enigma. Born around 1525 in what is now Belgium, Bruegel was part of a generation that saw both incredible beauty and overwhelming horror. He lived through famine, religious wars, and constant outbreaks of the plague. And yet, he painted it all, not with hysteria, but with remarkable clarity and insight. Bruegel was known for his depictions of peasant life and is therefore sometimes nicknamed Peasant Bruegel. Harvest scenes, weddings, and village fairs, he often captures the rhythms of ordinary people as only a person from a peasant background could. But don't let the rustic charm fool you. His works often carried biting satire and moral warnings. Bruegel used genre painting, which can be described as the art of everyday life, as a disguise for deeper philosophical messages. And it's fair to say that The Triumph of Death is one of his darkest, most unflinching statements. It depicts death not as a moment, but as a system which is methodical, inescapable, and entirely indifferent. Unlike medieval depictions, where death sometimes dances with its victims, here it dominates, overruns, and erases. Even the soldiers are defenseless, even the clergy, even lovers caught in an embrace. In the bottom corner, a couple makes music, trying to hold on to some form of beauty. A man plays the lute while he desperately stares at his lover, who is reading a book. Perhaps he's trying not to see what's behind her. Death is right there, already, but he keeps playing, and she keeps on reading. It's one of the only human moments in the whole painting, and Bruegel makes sure we notice it. One skeleton plays a hurdy-gurdy, while another carries an hourglass. Time has run out. One particularly chilling detail shows a nobleman reaching desperately for coins spilling from a chest. Even in death we try to cling to our money. The landscape is burned, empty, and apocalyptic. A ship is sinking in the harbor. A church is besieged in the background, and it's clear that nobody will ever escape it. Unlike many artists of his day, Bruegel rarely signed his paintings. He didn't want fame, he simply wanted to hold a mirror to the world. He was heavily influenced by Hieronymus Bosch, another master of surreal, allegorical horror. At first glance, Bruegel's sometimes cartoonish paintings can be described as mediocre spin-offs of the Dutch master's works. But Bruegel was a lot more than that. He grounded his images in the physical world. In this painting, his skeletons don't float, they march on earth. The title of this work, The Triumph of Death, is a reference to an old medieval theme. But Bruegel pushes it further. This isn't death's triumph over a single person, but over civilization itself. There are no heroes, no saints, no martyrs, only bones, smoke, and silence. The 16th century was an age of transition. The Protestant Reformation had torn Europe apart. The Spanish Inquisition loomed large. Science was beginning to challenge theology. And yet, plague still ravaged entire populations. And what we have to understand is that there was no explanation and no cure. At the end of the 14th century, millions of people were wiped out because of the infamous Black Death. In that context, Bruegel's painting doesn't feel exaggerated. It felt quite prophetic at the time. Death in this painting isn't personal, it's industrial. It crushes people under wheels, sorts bones into piles, and it drags coffins like containers that are being shipped in the modern world. Yet, the rituals of life continue. People pray, play, and resist, but it doesn't matter anymore. Bruegel had a unique ability to balance the intimate and the immense. He could paint both a wedding feast and the end of the world, and both feel completely believable. His attention to detail is astonishing. Each figure in this massive painting is distinct, with its own emotion, its own tragedy. Lovers, warriors, beggars, and a joker trying to hide below a table, all frozen in that final moment before the void. It's unsettling, but not because of gore. There's barely any blood, and the horror lies in the fact that death simply moves forward. And in Bruegel's mind, that inevitability is far more terrifying than any demon. He doesn't ask us to fear death, he asks us to recognize it, to see ourselves not as exceptions but as participants in a story with one ending. I want to look a bit closer again at the noblemen and the lovers in the bottom corners. That's because I think that these figures are the most important parts of Bruegel's message. The world we build, our cities, our hierarchies, our illusions of control, and our wealth, all of it is so fragile. One skeleton with a rope or a sword is all it takes to reduce everything to dust. And yet, we still fall in love, still sing, still hope, still try to collect barrels of gold. And that's what makes us human. I think that the triumph of death isn't just about endings, it's about all the things we do in spite of them. Bruegel painted death as a conqueror, yes, but he also painted us and all our fragile endeavors. Even as we're dragged away, we reach for beauty, for meaning, for each other. Essentially, the triumph of death doesn't show how we die, but it shows how we live, right up to the end. Thanks for watching, and please let me know what you think of this painting in the comments below. If you want to see this magnificent painting, then you need to head over to Madrid, as it has been part of the collection of the Prado Museum since 1827.